This is Wing Chun DC tutorial number 18. So today we're going to look at a martial artist called Yap Boh Heong. This was recommended to me. This video was actually recommended to me by one of my students, Luke. I've actually watched this before. I'm familiar with the channel that he was on. This is, I'll scroll down here. You can see this is a guy called the Martial Man. And the Martial Man, he's a really good martial artist who goes around the world and talking to kind of the top Tai Chi, Wing Chun, traditional kind of martial artists in the world. Is a really, I don't forget what the guy's name is, but he's excellent. Anyway, he interviews two people here who it's a demonstration of the 5 Ancestors fist. I'm not familiar with. And there's this guy Yap Boh Heong, and they're talking about here what they're talking about. There's a kind of a Tai Chi aspect to what they're doing, which is a lot of. Luke brought this attention to me because they discuss a lot of the same things that I talk about in my class and how we use a lot of kind of Tai Chi concepts in Wing Chun, particularly when it comes to structure, seizing your opponent and taking your opponent's structure away from each other. So I want to play the video here. I'll just let it roll for a bit so you can watch the discussion, and then we'll dive back in and go over what they've covered.
Chi they call na, right? Yes. Seizing, right? In our term, we call it feng. In Cantonese, it's called feng. Feng means to seal. You know, like you seal a box. Okay. Yeah. So that is our term for it, to seal. You see. Now, how it works is, again, it's based on structure. You see. Okay. To explain that, maybe we backtrack a bit. You see. So when we fight, there are a few levels you can fight with, right? At the very physical level, it's just strength versus strength, power versus power, right? And the bigger guy would normally win. But when you move up the next level, when you talk about internals, then you're talking about structure and internal power, right? Who has the faster bullet train, right? Or the more powerful bullet train, or even before that, your structure. Because without the structure, you cannot generate those forces, right? So in seizing, what we're doing is we are attacking your structure to prevent you from generating force. You see? So let's say you come at me. See? I've taken your balance, I've taken your structure. You can see, you're totally, right?
Yes.
All I did was there. Not much force at all.
And I feel like I can't move.
Yes.
And now all the weight is in this leg.
Yeah.
I can't move it.
Yeah. Right? And you try to kick with that?
I can't.
Yeah. See? So I'm attacking your structure. I've disrupted it so that your energy cannot flow with it.
Yes.
And then you can't even exert muscles because you're already off balance. You're too busy fighting to control your balance.
Yes.
So maybe just to explain a bit more, with this, I'm applying, to attack a structure, I'm applying the 4 principles. Yeah, and this is common in most of the Southern arts. Okay, float, sink, right? Draw, expel. So what I did was sink on you, see? This is sink, right?
Here.
Down, right? Yeah, but let's say you come again. See, this is float.
Now it's in my heels.
Yeah, right? So you can't do anything.
No.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so you come again. This is draw.
Yes, it's pulling me in.
You already come in. I didn't pull you in. I let you in.
Okay.
Right? So the harder you charge, see? The harder you come in. I'm not using my energy. I'm using your energy. I'm letting you come in. I draw you in. Right? And to expel, so it comes from an understanding of one structure. So in order to understand your structure and feel your structure, I have to know my structure. You know, as they say, before you know your enemy, you have to know yourself.
Yes.
So that is the stage you've got to go through. You've got to go through a stage where you have a very good foundation and feel for your own structure. Then you can tap into the other person's structure, and that's where you start to control them. So for us, let's say you first attack, right?
Okay.
I've already taken you. You got no chance to throw the second one.
No.
And it's up to me what I want to do with it. So for us, that's why a fight is not an exchange of punches. At first contact, I want to be able to destroy your structure.
So, okay, we'll hop back in here. This is again, this is really, really good stuff. I really like what this how Yap Boh Heong explains what he's doing here, and this is what we focus on a lot in training, where he talks about understanding one's own structure first, and then how that relate, and then once you understand that, you can start to manipulate the structure in your opponent. So if you notice when he does his demonstration and he asks him to come at him, he's talking about the different kind of energies, right? So this first one here, when he pulls him in, I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. So look, you can see that this is this is chi sao, really, or what we would define as chi sao, or in Tai Chi it's push hands, or so you're seizing your opponent. So one of the mistakes that Wing Chun makes is that they don't work on this skill at all, on the seizing element of chi sao. So instead they just roll their arms around and kind of use the drill as a kind of a launching, like they view it as sort of reflex training. So this is not reflex training. Okay, there's an important distinction here between the way that Tai Chi practices the kind of sticky hand stuff, and Wing Chun now practices the sticky hands, right? So Tai Chi, it's paramount that you seize your opponent, that as soon as you make contact, you're actually seizing your opponent's structure. So that if you apply that to chi sao, where you're differing really is the shape and the kind of the structure of the body behind it, right? So Wing Chun and Tai Chi have two different structures, the physical structures behind it, and they have different shapes in which the hands move. Wing Chun is a lot more compact. It's a lot more upright and straight. Your elbows in all the time, and you want to go as fast as you can into attacking your opponent using kind of straight punches, primarily straight punches, whereas Tai Chi is much more circular, much more fluid, much more there's a lot more turning in Tai Chi, your elbows aren't in, and you're not the punching is the striking in Tai Chi is much more free flowing and not so what's the word, confined as Wing Chun. Not to say that one is better than the other, both have their advantages. I think Wing Chun as an offensive art is superior. Tai Chi as a defensive art is superior. So I think that you start blending the two. This is what makes a real difference here, and you can see what Yap Boh Heong is doing here to the martial man. And by the way, it's worth pointing out that I know who the martial man is. This guy was a professional Thai boxer as well, so he's no dummy. He's not just letting this guy push him around. You can see that when he's seizing him here, he really is taking his balance. So what's happening is that his energy is going into his body. His Yap Boh Heong's structure is such that he is able to project force or energy into his opponent's body, and if the martial man, again I forget his name, but if he's not structured correctly, he will start to feel very shaky on his feet, so that he can't find his balance. It's as if I always tell everyone, I tell my students, like, as soon as you touch hands with somebody, try and touch their feet through their arms. You're trying to disconnect their feet from the floor, and that's exactly what Yap Boh Heong is doing here. He's disconnecting him from the floor. So you see, he can't. And this is what happens when your opponent doesn't have good structure, is that they can't efficiently disperse that force. There is a way of efficiently dispersing the force coming in, and that's either through structure or moving. So this is very, very good stuff here. This is classic Tai Chi. We'll keep going. Yeah, he can't. So he's saying that he can't kick, he can't strike, and that's exactly the point here. Once you seize your opponent's structure, they're going to have a much harder time mounting an offense. And then, as you can see later on in the demonstration, I'm turning the sound down here. He gets into a kind of attack. This is obviously, slowed down significantly. He's not attacking with any kind of real force. He's putting his hands out. It's a demonstration, so I'm not expecting him to kind of try and light the guy up. So he's going through here the different ways of injecting energy into his opponent. You have floating, drawing. These are all things that you can practice in your push hands and in your chi sao, and you get better and better at it by doing it. These are not things that you can necessarily these are things that have to be felt rather than seen. So a lot of observers might look at this and think this looks fake. It's not fake. I can tell that this guy is what this guy's doing is real. He injected force into him. That's more aggressively there. So you can see that he knows what he's doing. Again, these are absolutely crucial skills, and any art that focuses on this, I think I've got a lot of time for. I don't know, Five Ancestors Fist I'm not familiar with, but it just shows to show you that a lot of good kung fu has a a lot of the top people and respected masters kind of come to similar conclusions about how to utilize it effectively, and what is the core aspect of the art. And a lot of that is basically its structure, and seizing you pulling your opponent off balance before striking them. Good Wing Chun, good Tai Chi, good Five Ancestors Fist apparently as well. This is what it's based on, and then you've just got the differentiation in kind of applicating in striking from the different arts. I think that's why I think you can Tai Chi and Wing Chun can be blended effectively by practicing aspects of both of them. But again, the proof is in the pudding, as they say in England, that you have to train it. You have to actually go do push hands and chi sao and actually apply pressure on your opponent to make sure so you can get it to work. Then once you get it to, once you can apply it in chi sao, you own the techniques, you own it. It's not just the technique; it's something that you can feel, you can actually feel, and apply to others, apply onto others, without too much difficulty. And then style is, I think, is largely irrelevant at the top level. The top people are doing the same thing. Good high level Tai Chi looks to me a lot like high level wrestling. So I think high level wrestlers would pick up this pretty fast as well. They'd be doing something similar, maybe without understanding what they were doing. So anyway, thanks for the share there, Luke. It's really interesting, and hope I've kind of anyway. I always just try to give my honest opinion on what I see and whether I think something's good or not. If I think it's not good, I'll tell you. If I think it's good, I'll tell you too. So Yap Boh Heong, recommend it. Very excellent. Okay, everyone, I will see you next week for the next tutorial. Bye bye.